60 million years ago, in the sweltering aftermath of the dinosaurs' extinction, the world belonged to a new kind of monster. Deep within the primordial rainforests of what is now Colombia, a serpent of unimaginable scale slithered through the black waters. This was Titanoboa cerrejonensis. At 42 feet long and weighing over a ton, it was the largest snake to ever exist. But nature is rarely static. The Titanoboa vanished when the global thermostat dialed down. But what if it hadn't? What if the warming trends continued, or the snake found a way to adapt, growing larger, smarter, and more terrifying with every passing epoch?
To understand the monster of our imagination, we must first understand the beast of reality. Titanoboa was an ambush predator, a constrictor that relied on the extreme temperatures of the Paleocene epoch to fuel its cold-blooded metabolism. Being poikilothermic, its size was directly dictated by the ambient temperature. The hotter the world, the bigger the snake could get. In our timeline, the world cooled, and the Titanoboa starved. But in this speculative timeline, the Eocene thermal maximum never ends. The planet turns into a hothouse, and the Titanoboa is given an evolutionary blank check.
Let us fast forward 20 million years. The global temperature averages 10 degrees Celsius higher than today. The laws of biophysics present a challenge, the square cube law. As an organism doubles in length, its volume and mass cube. A land-based snake simply cannot support unlimited weight. Its ribs would shatter, and its internal organs would be crushed by gravity. To continue evolving, the Titanoboa must leave the swamp. It must follow the path of the whales. It must return to the ocean. By the Oligocene, our Titanoboa descendants have become fully aquatic. Evolution has flattened their tails into powerful paddles, mimicking the sea snakes of the modern era, but on a leviathan scale. Buoyancy negates the crushing force of gravity, allowing them to breach the 60-foot barrier. These are the Titanus pelagicus. They are no longer sluggish swamp dwellers. They are active, terrifying mariners, hunting in the warm, shallow seaways that cover much of the continents.
Physiologically, the changes are drastic. To breathe at this size, the single functional lung typical of snakes has evolved into a multi-chambered respiratory system, perhaps utilizing a form of cutaneous respiration, absorbing oxygen directly through vascularized skin to supplement their breath hold. Their ribs have thickened, becoming dense ballast to aid in diving, similar to the bones of manatees. They are the silent submarines of the ancient oceans.
Entering the Miocene, 15 million years ago, these serpents faced their greatest rival, the megalodon. This is the clash of the titans. The shark has the bite force, but the serpent has the maneuverability and the coil. In this speculative arms race, the Titanoboa evolves to be an ambush predator of the deep. It develops sensory pits along its lateral line, capable of detecting the heartbeat of a whale from miles away. It becomes a shadow in the blue, striking not with venom, but with hydraulic pressure, capable of snapping a shark's spine. As we approach the Pleistocene, the cooling waters that killed the megalodon in our timeline force the Titanoboa to adapt again. They retreat to the abyssal and bathyal zones, closer to geothermal vents, or they evolve a form of gigantothermy, maintaining body heat through sheer mass and volume. They become the abyssal titan. Coloration shifts to vantablack to hide in the gloom. Eyes enlarge to capture faint bioluminescence. They are now 80 feet long, feeding on giant squid and dying whales sinking to the bottom.
The metabolic cost of this existence is staggering. A reptile of this size in cold water is biological heresy. To survive, the abyssal titan would likely develop a 4-chambered heart, converging evolutionarily with crocodilians and birds, ensuring efficient oxygenation. A layer of insulating blubber, unprecedented in reptiles, would form beneath the scales. They would move slowly, conserving energy for months, drifting like ghosts until prey ventures too close.
Now we arrive at the Anthropocene, the age of humans.
If the Titanoboa never stopped evolving, they would still be here, lurking in the 95% of the ocean we have yet to explore. Imagine the legends of the Kraken or the Leviathan not as myths, but as ancestral memories of sightings. In the modern era, they would be the source of unexplained disappearances. Supertankers and nuclear submarines would detect acoustic signatures that defy classification. Biological sounds too large for a whale, too rhythmic for a geological shift.
In 1997, NOAA recorded an ultra-low frequency sound known as the bloop. While officially categorized as an icequake, in our speculative reality, this is the mating call of a 100-foot descendant of the Titanoboa. Sound travels efficiently in water. These serpents could communicate across entire ocean basins, a complex language of vibrations, warning rivals and attracting mates to the mid-Atlantic ridge for breeding rituals that would boil the water around them.
How would humanity coexist with such a creature? Ocean navigation would be fundamentally different. Shipping lanes would be treacherous. The fishing industry would collapse in certain zones, dominated by a predator that consumes tons of biomass daily. We would likely treat the oceans with the same fear our ancestors felt for the dark forests, a place where humans are not the apex, but merely intruders on the food chain. Naval warfare and submarine technology would evolve specifically to detect and deter these biological dreadnoughts. The lifespan of such a creature would be immense. With a slow metabolism and negligible senescence, an individual could live for centuries. The beast you see surfacing today might have been born before the Industrial Revolution. It would carry the scars of harpoons from 19th century whalers and the radiation signatures of 20th century nuclear tests. It would be a living archive of the ocean's history, a silent witness to humanity's rise and potential fall.
Scientifically, the discovery of a Titanoboa descendant would shatter our understanding of biology. It would rewrite the textbooks on vertebrate limits. We would study their genome to understand how they suppress cancer, because an animal with that many cells should logically be riddled with tumors. We would analyze their regenerative capabilities. The pharmaceutical rush to harvest their venom or blood would spark a new kind of gold rush, leading to ethical debates about conservation versus exploitation.
But let's witness the hunt. A blue whale, the largest animal known to man, grazes on krill. From the depths, the Titanoboa rises. It does not strike like a viper. It rams like a freight train. Within seconds, it wraps coils the thickness of a subway tunnel around the mammal. It is not suffocation that kills the whale. It is ischemia, the cessation of blood flow. The snake squeezes with thousands of pounds of pressure per square inch, stopping the whale's heart in moments. A meal this size would sustain the serpent for a year.
Digestion on this scale creates its own problems. The heat generated by breaking down a 40-ton whale would raise the snake's body temperature to dangerous levels, a phenomenon known as the meat sweats on a grand scale. They might have to beach themselves on remote frozen archipelagos to cool down, or rest in frigid currents. These resting sites would become temporary islands, distinct ecosystems where seabirds might land, unaware that the ground beneath them is flesh and blood.
But consider the alternative. What if they never enter the water? What if they stayed on land? To support 100 feet of length against gravity, they might have re-evolved limbs, reverting to a body plan similar to the mosasaurs or monitor lizards, but elongated. These land drakes would be confined to the hottest equatorial zones, unable to migrate. They would be the dragons of our mythology. Their existence would have likely prevented the rise of large mammals, including the primates that eventually became us.
In reality, the Titanoboa's reign was cut short by a cooling climate 58 million years ago. The rainforests fragmented and their prey dwindled. They were too specialized, too large, and too dependent on a specific thermal window. This is the paradox of specialization. It makes you the king of your era, but the first victim of the next. Evolution penalizes rigidity.
But in our experiment, we gave the Titanoboa the one thing it lacked: adaptability.
The story of the Titanoboa is a reminder of nature's potential for excess. It shows us that the mammalian dominance of today is just a phase. Had the dice rolled differently, had the temperature stayed high, we might not be the narrators of this story. We might have been nothing more than a mid-afternoon snack for a god that slithers. The Titanoboa never stopped evolving in our nightmares, but thankfully, for now, it remains buried in the coal mines of Cerrejon.
This has been a journey into the impossible, a testament to the power of evolution and the terrifying majesty of deep time. Until we dig deeper and look further, the Titanoboa remains the king of the Paleocene. But in the shadows of the ocean, who knows what remains?